Hi, Ms. Shetler again. I'm here to help you with the next thing I asked you to do on Autodesk TinkerCAD, which is go to Learn, and then you should have already finished the starters. We're going to Projects. The project I would like you to work on is Let's Learn TinkerCAD. It's going to review a lot of the things that you did in the starters and then go into a little bit more detail on some of them. There is a lot of reading in this. I highly suggest that you actually do the reading, but the point of this video is to walk you through the different things that you're asked to do in case you feel stuck. I know it can be a little difficult because the directions are all written and there aren't videos. So I wanted to make a video of just me going through the steps so that you can see. Again, I'm clicking through all of this. You should definitely read it. I already have. Alright, the first thing it asks us to do is just kind of play with the view cube again. Just reminding us that there's this handy tool up here to flip around our workspace if we need. If you remember from starters, you can also use your mouse wheel to zoom in and out. You can use your right mouse button held down while you move the mouse around. You can also use your trackpad, and there's some additional buttons over here, which again, if you hover over them, will tell you what they are. You also have this nice home view that will snap the work plane back to where it starts. So these orange outlined shapes are called hints, and they're going to help us as we learn the basics of TinkerCAD. Okay, so since the hint says a cube, I'm going to grab a cube. So here it's telling me to go ahead and rotate it, make sure my cube is all the way in the hint. And again, it's just having you kind of play with your viewing options so that you get comfortable with moving the objects around. Of course, you can skip this and I'll never know, but you won't be practicing how to use the program, and that's going to hurt you in the end. So, highly recommend you practice. Also recommend you spend longer on each step than I do. Again, I'm just walking you through so you can see how to do it. They're just walking you through different ways to navigate. You hold Shift and the mouse down. You can go side to side. This is going to tell you more about this window that pops up a lot. So here you can change the color of your shade. Right, now we're going to do some more shape play. So, oh yeah, so I'm going to put this one a little bit off. So then I could zoom in and rotate around to see, oh, I don't have that quite right. And now that I'm more zoomed in and I can see exactly what I'm doing, I can move it in to be more exact. Okay, so this is, again, something that you're going to want to read. It's talking about how this kind of looks like a graph or a grid where you would have the x-axis and the y-axis. And I know that you've talked about that in math and science when you talk about graphs. And in 3D space, we do have that, but we also have heights. So we have the x-axis, and we have the y-axis, but then we also have the z-axis, basically that you have width, depth, and height. Here they're going to talk to you about translation, which is a math word. Okay, so what they want me to do is click on the sphere and use the drag to move the sphere 11 millimeters. Oh, and they've made a hint here. Okay, so I can rotate. Uh-oh, I didn't do it right, so let me move it back. Aha! Now, I'm going to drag over here. Again, I'm going to rotate, make sure I have it in the shape mostly. You should either see no or very little orange line. Okay, so I'm going to change this sphere to a hole. All right, and I like the set of directions. It tells you to do the same thing I do, which is to select all of them in that way, although you can also do left click and shift. All right, now that these are both selected, and I can tell they're both selected because of this light blue line around the outside, like a group. And now the sphere turns goes away, and you end up with a carved out piece, which is pretty neat. All right, we made it through the first of the 5 lessons for this project, and I'm going to go to the next lesson in this project. Okay, now we're going to test our navigation skills. No, it's like a little game. We have some hidden things. Find the first word. It's. Two. time to design. Alright, that was an easy lesson. Moving, rotating, and scaling. Ooh, more map work. Okay, I see a hint on the work plane for a box. Put that in there. Looks like I'm a little bit off. Hey, they offset it. Okay, because they're teaching us how to nudge. Alright, so to nudge it, I'm going to change the angle a little bit so you can see. Without holding anything down, if I just use the arrow keys on my keyboard, I can move the cube in some different directions. Right, and I have it lined up in most of the directions. Now, in order to move it up and down, I'm going to hold Control and then use the up and down arrows. So it does say when you nudge, you are going to get 1 millimeter movements. So they're just really fine movements to help you get things exactly where you want them. So here they're telling us about the undo button. So we're just going to keep using undo until we have the box where we want it. Perfect. And here they're going to be reminding us about the rotation handles again. All right, for the rotation protractor, they're showing us the different ways that you can use the rotation arrows. So the circle that shows up, they're calling the protractor. So if I click and hold it with my mouse cursor inside the circle, I get pretty big jumps. They're about 22 degrees. So if I need to make some big changes, that's the way to go. But if I move my mouse while holding the mouse key down outside the protractor, then I get smaller 1 millimeter or 1 degree hops. And also if I unclick, hold shift down, and then click the protractor again, I get giant jumps. And it'll make really big jumps. Once you've played with that and you feel like it's good, or you can go ahead and put it back the way that the hint shows it, it's pretty good. So they're just trying to remind you that this is the y-axis and this is the x-axis, and then going up, as you would think, is the z-axis. And as you're working and you're turning things around, it can get really tricky and you can start thinking that this is your y-axis. So you can always just hit the home work plane and then it's just like a graph. You have your y, you have your... Now they just want us to practice with rotating again. Let's see if I can do a better job this time. Yeah, I'm going to zoom out just a little bit so it's easier for me to get my mouse outside the protractor. I think that's the right angle. I'm going to turn it around this way. I think I've mentioned it yet, but I'm actually used to using a different program, but it's not web-based. So I have just started learning this program, so it is okay to play with them and figure it out. You don't have to have it the first time. Alright, so scaling an object is basically making it bigger or smaller. So if you go to the black handles, it'll tell you in which direction it's going to move the object. Again, if I click here, and I actually pull on it, it's going to make the shape bigger in that direction. Okay, so the first thing we have to do here is get the box rotated back correctly. And I'm going to click and drag my mouse outside of the protractor so it's a little easier to get my fine movements. And I think my issue with the last one is I kept switching my views. It's confusing me on which axis was which. That one. Alright, there we go. So that part's well done. Now I have to figure out how to make it taller. So if I click on this, the little black handles will tell you how they're going to make it bigger. And then this white handle on top is how you make things taller. Corner handles, you can change more than one size at the same time. Okay. Again, I'm just following the directions. And it's just having me play with the different options to make the different shapes that they're giving me. Don't forget that you have the option to just move the whole shape. So on this one, you may have noticed a problem before, whereas if you grabbed a corner, it just kind of went every which way. So here they're showing you how you can make the same change on both sides of the center of your object, which is shown by this line here. So before I click this handle, if I hold down the Alt key on my space next to my space bar, it'll move both sides of the rectangle for me at the same time. Whoop. Go ahead, do that. Right, this time I'm going to hold the Shift and Alt keys down at the same time before I click my mouse. And I'm going to click my mouse and the whole shape will move. Ooh, that will work. Now you're simply just using all the different skills to make your shape more or less fit in the hint. I want us to rotate 22 degrees, which I can do by keeping my mouse in the circle when I rotate it. Alright, so now we're deleting. You can hit the delete key. You can also hit this trash can, and we're done with the third lesson. Alright, in this lesson we're going to be learning how to make and manipulate group objects. It'll allow us to be able to make different kinds of objects. And I can't really see what I'm doing, so I'm going to pull a little bit. Rotate around, there we go. Cylinder. And another cylinder. I'm just double checking that I have the same shape. I'm rotating a little differently. That's okay. Okay, so now they're telling me to select all the shapes, which again you can do while holding Shift and clicking them, or you can just draw a box around them. And then they want you to click the group button. Okay? The object is already selected, but if you had clicked off, just click back on, and they want you to duplicate. And you can't see that it duplicated, but it did. So now I've been given a hint of this object. I'm going to take one of my hearts, I'm going to hold Shift and Alt down, grab a handle, and make it a little bit smaller. And I'm also going to grab this handle here because I know that allows it to be stretched and made tall. And that way I can just kind of see what I'm doing. So I'm going to hold Shift and Alt again, just to get it to be about the right size. Okay. And the way I'm doing it is a little bit different than they gave in the instructions, and that's okay. I just like to be able to see what I'm doing. So now they want us to turn the heart into a hole, and now you're going to highlight both again and group them. And the second heart turns into a hole. We're deleting the heart. Heart. Roof. Use that white, black cone, move it up where I want it, and then, okay, so then I'm going to put the roof on top of the house, and double check, make sure they fit, and then I group it. I don't know, my whole house turned blue. What if I want a green roof? So it's going to tell you here how you can go ahead and get the options. So if you click down here for multicolor, when you have a group, it'll go back to each piece being their original color. Okay, they want us to stretch the house, so I'm going to select the whole house. I'm going to use a handle to stretch the house. And now I'm going to select my house, duplicate, again, and rotate it. Alright, so now they want you to make our plus sign size shaped house into this shape. We're going to take this and just hide part of it. So now we have this shape of house. Right, so now to add some decoration, we can add a block. Obviously it's way too big to be a door. So I'm going to use what I've learned. of my fancy star window. Alright, you just keep decorating that until you have it the way that you like. Alright, we're on to the last lesson. Alright, the last lesson is use the align tools and the work plane helper. Okay, I'm going to add my shapes. The height of this, stretch it up. Then we can find the cone. Hit it in the right spot. And now I'm going to use the cone to lift that up. A little bit. Alright, now I've selected both objects. I'm going to select the align tool. It says click the center handle on the x-axis, but I'm all turned around, so I'm going to hit home so I know that this is the x-axis, so this will be the middle one, and the y-axis. And what that does is just kind of fit our pieces together. Perfect box. Don't mind the bearded dragon. She's having fun with the box. The cardboard box. Okay, we have a shape, both the tower and the wall. So I'm going to go to the align tool. And click on the tower. Okay, so now we're going to use the limit handles, and again, if I mouse over it, it tells me where it's going to move the wall. So I'm going to just click right here, and it will line the wall up with the tower. Perfect. It's a good geometry connect. Okay, for the next part, I'm going to copy and paste by selecting just what I want. In this case, I don't want the wall, so I'm going to hit the Shift key while clicking on the pieces I do want, which is the tower and the roof. There we go. And I'm going to do copy and paste. The align tool, and I accidentally clicked the wrong button. The align tool, and I can see here that I aligned this a little differently than they were looking for. It should be an easy fix. There we go. Okay, right, so we're just going to copy and paste another wall. I'm going to copy and paste the next wall and put it over here. I don't have to do any rotation since it was already facing the correct direction. Be really careful when you're selecting things that you're only selecting the two objects you actually want to align. Alright, so I'm going to group the towers in the original alignment. Alright, so I've clicked both cylinders, the wall, and both cones, and group them. Then I'm going to copy and paste the group. Mirror tool, and then you can see how it's going to move the object around if you hover over the options. I'm going to choose that one. That way the wall is on the outside. I can take this group, highlight. So I can take this group and then also select one of the walls. And now I can align these together. And again, you just play with what the results are going to be. That wasn't what I wanted. Undo. Alright, so now we're going to select everything and ungroup them so that we can change our cast. So again, you can hit the delete key on your spacebar after selecting it, or you can use the trash can icon. Alright, all I've done over here is follow the directions for the shapes that it wants. This does need to be a hole. I'm going to group them. So I get this shape up. Move it over here. Select that in the align tool so I can center them. Paste my battlements. Notice I don't have to copy paste every time. I just hit paste. And I get another shape. Alright, I'm going to confess something I missed in the last step was I was supposed to use the work plane helper to get all of these shapes at the correct height to begin with. So that is this. And then what you can do is put it on top of the shape that's already on your work area. And then any shapes that you drag will automatically line up with that. But it wasn't too hard the other way either. And that will, clicking home, will put everything back the way that you had wanted it. So now they want us to use the work plane helper to create a work plane on the front of the castle so that we can decorate it. You can change the size of it. You can move it. If you have a text, you just open up the window here and change it to what you want to say. Please remember this is a school project. Keep it appropriate. I can see your models. And you can definitely decorate it a lot more. At this point in time, it gives you the instructions on how to download the shape into an STL that I could then use to print it out on the 3D printer, although with these particular shapes, we won't be doing that stuff. All right, well, the castle project got a little intense there, but hopefully you feel a little bit more like you know how to use TinkerCAD. At any point in time, you can go back and review any of the steps and work with it until you feel more comfortable. If you don't leave this lesson feeling comfortable, go back and do the parts that were hard. Learn, practice, because we're going to keep using this program. If something is hard now, it's not going to get easier until you practice it. You can also, of course, ask questions. All right, thank you. I hope this was helpful.